Hi, today we will troubleshoot about Office Procedure General Central Provident Fund Organization. It includes DCBR revised, which is used for 20 years. Postings are as per Form 12A, Form 6PS, and Form 4. And it's about accounts 1, account 2, account 10, account 21, and account 22. There are past accumulation dues which are to be considered. Date of remittance as per seal by the bank is to be considered. Then further points considered are challan, cash, date presentation of check. Then points to be seen during pre-audit are bills and vouchers should be in prescribed form, arithmetic calculation in cash, account to be corrected, no erasures or overwriting or alterations should be attested, sanction competent authority exists for expenditure, payment endorsement of original sanctions, original vouchers in expenditure are to be considered, then rate of pay and other allowances, stamped receipts are to be considered during pre-audit, bills countersigned must be in ink, enough provision funds and bills bear endorsement in red ink. Then there is Form 9 revised, in which all columns are to be typed neatly. Form 2 also must have been received before. Code number should be correctly added, that is PF code number. Age and date of birth should match with the Form 9. Eligible employees enrolled as members must be enrolled there. Excluded employees also should be enrolled in Form 9. Names of all persons must be shown in the statement of Form 9. Then age of members furnished in Form 9 is 50 years. He should be previously employed in any other establishment. There is definition of employee, a person who is employed for wages. Then there is establishment to which act implies in the opinion of appropriate government and rate of contribution are not less than favorable than those in section 6. Employees are also in the enjoyment are considered in exempted establishment. There is definition of factory, any premises in which manufacturing process being carried with or without aid of power. There is an recovery officer. It is said to be any officer under section 5A with notification under central or state government to exercise the power of recovery officer. Then there is non-contributory service. It includes period of actual service by member for which contribution to the employees in the pension fund has been received. Then there is permanent total disablement, that is disablement of permanent nature as it incapacitates employees for all works he was as capable at the time of disablement, regardless whether it is sustained during course or otherwise. There is voluntary coverage, which is defined as was in it a part of injured person's employment to suffer or to do which caused injuries. If yes, accident arose out of employment, otherwise not. Then there are section 7A, 7B, and 7C, which are to be dealt in compliance section. Under section 7B, any person agree by an order of 7A but from which no appeal has been preferred under this act, who from discovery of new and important matter after exercise of due diligence was not within his knowledge or could not be produced by him at the time when order was made on account of some mistake or error on the face of record, is desired to obtain a review of such order and may apply for a review of that order to the officer who passed the order. Then there is section 7C to determine the escape amount. If the officer who passed the order has the reason to be believed by any omission or failure on the part of employer to make any document or report available to disclose fully or truly all material facts necessary to determine under section 7A. In consequence of information in his possession to believe that any amount to be determined under section 7A and section 7B has escaped from his determination for any period has been there has been no omission. Then there are rates of damages under EPF scheme depends on areas as may be specified, and it includes retrenchment and layoff. Retrenchment includes last in first out rules of the operating system, and layoff includes workmen which are not left for permanent fixed reasons and are eligible for arrears. Then there are duties of contractors. Every contractor within 7 days of close of every month may submit to principal employer a statement showing recoveries of contribution in respect of employees and shall also furnish to him such information as the principal employer is required to furnish under the provision of the schemes to the commissioner. There is scale of assurance benefit also. On the death of employee who is member of funds exempted under section 17, the person is entitled to receive PF accumulations of the deceased. In addition to such accumulations, be paid an amount equal to average balance on account of deceased in the PF under section 17 during preceding 12 months or period of membership, whichever is less, except where the average balance exceeds rupees 50,000. The amount payable is 50,000 plus 40% of the amount in excess of 50,000 to a ceiling of rupees 1 lakh. There is withdrawal benefit which is given to equivalent to widow pension. There are tables A, B, C and D. Then there are various modes by which recovery officer can recover the amount. It includes deduction from any amount payable to contractor or as a debt payable by contractor. It also includes employees' contribution and employer contribution except basic wages, DA or retaining allowance. Then from areas which are due by the employer and from share of joint holders in which employer is one party, these various modes which officer can recover amount. 5 conditions for grant of exemption from EPF under section 17. The appropriate government may grant exemption to any establishment or class from operation of the scheme if employees of the establishment are members of any other pension scheme or proposed to members of pension scheme. Wherein pension benefits are at par or more favorable than benefits provided under the scheme, where exception is granted to any establishment or class under the paragraph, withdrawal benefits available to credit of employees of such establishment under class ceases family pension scheme 1971 shall be paid subject to the consent of employees to the pension fund, so exempted. Then there is application for exemption shall be presented to the Regional Provident Fund Commissioner having jurisdiction by the establishment of class together with a copy of pension scheme of the establishment, relevant documents as may be called for by him. And also on receipt of such application, RPFC shall scrutinize it, obtain the recommendations of CPFC, submit the same to the appropriate government for decision. Pending disposal of application for exemption under the para employers share of contribution shall not be remitted to the pension fund. Also, an application for exemption presented under this para will be disposed of within period of 6 months from the date of receipt or such further time as may be extended, to be recorded in writing. If application for exemption is not disposed of within the period so specified, the exemption applied for will be deemed to be granted. Then there is period of 6 months will be counted from date on which application is applied. Factor for computation of past service benefit under the ceased family pension scheme for existing members on exit from the employment may be considered under withdrawal benefit. Also considered are number of full years in which contribution is paid and proportion of payable at cessation of membership. Further, we can troubleshoot the nature of housekeeping job and role of caretaker. It includes maintenance of office building to monitor and control the functioning of security and conduct a surprise check. It includes proper sanitation of office building, proper water supply and distribution, ensure installation of firefighting machine, proper installation of electrical equipments, to supervise working of sweepers, watermen, and Group D staff. There is also proper maintenance of garden to be included in caretaking, which includes providing of fixtures and furnitures, purchase of materials, ensure timely installation of water, coolers, ensure installation of air coolers, heaters, old broken furnitures, arrangement for international or national functions, periodical disposal of sweeping, payment of bills relating to electricity, maintenance of office equipments, maintenance of staff cars, maintenance of staff quarters, and purchase of materials. There are monthly or annual returns to be submitted to build up a clean database of employers to facilitate conduct of business via the employer more efficiently. There is Form 5A to be submitted by the employer to ascertain particulars of establishment and to maintain declaration by a person taking up employment. There is Form 9 revised, contains basic document containing all details relating to members enrolled to Provident Fund scheme. There is Form 5 reflecting details of employees. There is Form 2 having declaration and nomination of PF pension schemes executed by each member. There is Form 10 reflecting details of employees leaving the service in each month. There is Form 12A. Then there is a rate of interest which vary from year to year of Provident Fund organization. Basically swings between 8.5 to 9.5 to 10.5%. Then there are paras for advances paid to the members. Number 1, 68B for the purchase of dwelling site. Membership should be minimum 5 years. Minimum balance in employees' share must be ₹1,000. Property should be free from encumbrances and no two advances is allowed. Then there is cost of site to be considered. 12 months basic wages plus DA, whichever is least, is to be considered for payment. Declaration signed by member and employer along with Form 31 is to be given. Then there is para 68B for purchase of dwelling house already built flat. Again includes minimum 5-year membership and minimum balance in the employee's share is 1,000 and no two advances are allowed. Then there is para 68BB for additions, alterations or improvements in the house. Again membership minimum 5 years, minimum balance in employee share is ₹1,000. cost of addition and employees' own share with interest is to be considered. Further, for advance payment, 12-month basic wages plus DA, whichever is least, is to be considered. Declaration signed by member and employer along with Form 31 is required. Then there is para 68 BBB. In this, 10 years of membership for members' own share should not be less than 1000. Whole or the part of loan to be repaid, members and employer contribution in full of 36 months plus DA, whichever is least, is payable direct to the agency only. A declaration from member with details of house or flat purchased are to be taken by the organization, and letter from agency showing outstanding amount with details are to be taken. There is para 68 BC for purchase of dwelling house, in which also 5 years membership minimum and minimum balance is here rupees 20,000 is to be considered. Whole or part of loan to be repaid, members and employer contribution in full of 36 months pay plus DA, whichever is least, is directly payable to the agency only, and declaration from members with details of house or flat and letter from agency is required. Then there is para 68H for lockout factory. Factory entire must remain closed for more than 15 days. Employees must be unemployed in these 15 days. No compensation is paid. Reason for closure or non-receipt of wages is required, and one or more non-recoverable advances paid. Then there is para 68H. If period of closure of factory is more than 6 months, no compensation again is to be paid, but 100% amount to the credit of employers. One or more recoverable advance is admissible. Then there is para 68J for illness or hospitalization or of 1 month. It may include major surgical operation like treatment of TB, treatment of leprosy, treatment of paralysis, or heat treatment. Then another para 68K for the marriage of daughter, sister, son, or brother. Here, minimum 7-year membership of the member is required. Members' own share of contribution should not be less than 1000 rupees. Here, maximum 3 advances are allowed. Application should reach office before the date of marriage, of course. 50% of employee's own share of contribution is to be considered for the payment, and amount asked for members, whichever is less. Then there is para 68L, loss of property due to flood or earthquake. Members having movable or immovable property should be damaged. State government must notify the areas where the hit occurs. Application should be submitted within 4 months from the date of notification. Here the 50% of own share of contribution is to be considered, and amount requested or 50,000, whichever is less, is to be paid. Then there is para 68M, in which advance to the members affected by power cut is to be paid. Wages paid should be less than 75%. State government must notify the power cut. Only one advance is admissible. 1 month wage or members' own share of contribution or rupees 300, whichever is less, is to be paid. Employer certificate along with Form 31 is required. Then next para 68N, purchase of equipment by handicaps. Doctor should certify member is handicapped. Members' own share of contribution or cost of equipment or members' basic wages plus DA, whichever is less, is to be paid in advance. Amount must be requested by member. No advance within 3 years. to be given, and doctor certificate certifying expenditure involved for the purchase of required equipment is necessary. Then next para 68 double N, withdrawal within 1 year before retirement. Within 1 year before his actual retirement or superannuation, whichever is later, up to 90% of amount standing to the credit of member or employer's certificate is required. Next para 68 triple N. Here withdrawal after 55 years of age, any time after attaining the age of 55 years or up to 90% of amount standing to the credit of member is to be transferred to Life Insurance Corporation. There is Right to Information Act 2005. Then there is monthly members pension, maybe superannuation pension or diseased pension. Superannuation pension is given if he has rendered eligible service of 10 years or more and retires on attaining age of 58 years. Early pension can also be made if rendered eligible service 10 years and ceases to be employment before attaining 58 years. It is considered as reduced pension. Now, members' monthly pension is pensionable salary multiplied by pensionable service. There is a superannuation pension or early pension can be determined with some tables provided in family pension scheme in the EPFO. Then comes the important form, Form 19. Form is to be correctly filled in. Form has to be attested with the sign of employer and sign must tally with the Form 9. Claim form need not to be returned. Relevant certificates are required like Aadhaar card, PAN card and class 10 certificate or even passport photocopy is to be required if correction is to be done. And Form 19 must submit after completion of 2 months after the employment. Name, father's name, account number, date, postal address are to be mentioned in Form 19. Have a nice day, have a nice time. Do hydrate yourself frequently, smile frequently.